welcome to another episode of the Six Frame Podcast with Kevin and Lamp.
E.
And today's episode is going to be cartoons that change our lives. And the reason why I want to dedicate a whole episode of cartoons that change our lives because as of think maybe 3 days ago, 4 days ago, I was watching some classic cartoons, stuff from like Fleischer, like Popeye, things like that, the old Superman cartoons, things that we learned when we were at school in the history of animation. And I was like, man, these cartoons have changed my life in some form or fashion. These old cartoons that I probably watched reruns of were, a part of me why I'm enjoying it. Reason being is because for myself, the origin story. When I when I when I was little, I only watched cartoons. That's all I remember, just watching cartoons. I don't think I ever. Maybe I watched some sitcoms or things like that, but of course I was too young. So the only thing that gravitated me was cartoons, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, you do get older, but I was still watching cartoons. I was, you know, I didn't really care about live action things. It just progressively just changes. Of course, you got your like kids programming from Zoom or Sesame Street, and uh, and then from Disney we had like Bill Nye the Science Guy, learning science.
He was in Disney?
Yeah, it was in
I never
Disney.
watched him.
You never watched
I
him?
never watched
He
him.
was by the time I watched him, I think he was reruns, or I think he was reruns. I think he didn't have new episodes. I don't know. It was weird because by the time I was older, right, he was gone. He was off the air. And anytime you watch Bill Nye was when you're at science class, and they don't want to do anything, so they just pop out a video of his one of his episodes.
Oh man. The simple life of education.
A simple life of public school education. So now they're banning books. So that's another topic for another time. But yeah. So I was like, man, this stuff because it also reminds me when we were at school doing the history animation. I also went back and watched a lot of those cartoons that they were shown in that class. Not all of them. I don't remember all of them, but there was one in particular. It was like it was about these gangsters. It was called, oh man, it was called something. It was called the Three Ugly Mugs. Oh, Thugs with Dirty Mugs. I don't know if you remember this.
Nope. I no.
So, well, anyway, there is nothing prevalent, but it's the importance of this cartoon is because they were it was a Warner Brothers cartoon. They were making fun of themselves because at that time they were making gangster films. They were all the same, so they were like poking shots at themselves for making the same movies. Weird time.
It sounded like they had fun, honestly.
Oh no, they had fun. That's just funny. Yeah, so yeah, that was like my mood, and I was like, man, I want to know because we're all here, went to school for animation, and we hardly never talk. That one thing that we never hardly talk about is like, why do we like this moving pictures
This medium?
of 60 frames per second?
Sometimes 60.
Sometimes
A
60,
lot of times
a lot of times
24.
24. You know, ones and twos, mostly ones,
Yeah.
oftentimes, and other countries
Varies.
varies.
It varies. Sometimes 6 frames, sometimes 7 frames, and sometimes it's gonna be 10 frames with a pan shot.
Exactly. So yeah, so I was, I was like, yeah, I'm more really curious about it. About us, why we like it. Yeah. So for myself, I'll start for myself. Again, I didn't watch anything. It was just this whole bombardment of stuff. And my earliest memories of it is when my parents moved here, from their country long ago. They brought VHS tapes, and one of them was Disney Silly Symphony. It was a collection, a couple cartoons. Cannot name them on top of my head. I feel bad, but I know what they are, and I showed you a couple.
Yeah. One
Right?
was the one with the bug, right?
Yeah, the bug. It was the bug. It's like,
Like it was like a dancing.
yeah.
It was like I forgot.
It was a jazz club.
Jazz club with
Yeah,
like
it was
bugs
like a
dancing
jazz
around.
club. Yeah, yeah. So it was one of them, and so that was I will watch that religiously, like watching Puss in Boots now, but that will be what I watched. And then my mom would bring random assortments of uh, VHS tapes of Disney cartoons. So it would be uh, Sleeping Beauty, right? Snow White. I think Snow White was first, then Sleeping Beauty, Jungle Book, Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast. I think it was those. It was kind of at that time, when they were re-releasing from the Disney Vault again,
I hate the Disney.
and then they were also releasing from their Renaissance, you know, their newer stuff.
Yeah.
So I used to watch those particular animated cartoons, and then the one live action movie that got me not into movies, but it exposes me to other mediums.
Can I guess?
Go ahead, but yeah,
Is it a Disney movie?
no,
Really? I was gonna say Roddy Rabbit. All right, never mind. I give up.
no,
I give
that
up.
was later on, which is one of my favorite films of all time. It's one of my favorite. I need to make a list of like my favorite films. That one's in there. Um, no, it was actually Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Hmm.
Yes. So I had Snow White and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Then because I was a little kid handling the tapes, I dropped them, broke both of them. So eventually, that was that. And then later on, I think I got Star Wars, just one of the Star Wars films. I think it was Empire, which it didn't blow my mind when I watched it, like most people. And my relationship with Star Wars is weird. I'm a fan of it, but I'm not like a massive. I'm not like the other people in our group who are reading books and they know the names of shit, of like why they have this and why they have that, you know, why they have these midichlorians, you know. I'm not, I'm not that type of nerd when it comes to Star Wars.
But you know about the midichlorians.
Yeah, because that came out in episode. Everybody knows that.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Anyway, I listen. My fandom only comes from like like how you talk about your fandom only comes when you watch something. For me, Star Wars is whenever I watch cartoons and stuff. Right. So no, I remember watching that, and it didn't. And not that it didn't blow my mind because I was a kid when I saw it, and I didn't understand anything what's going on. Right. So it's like, well, it's cool. There's swords with lights, and this weird green guy that talks in riddles. You know. So yeah. So no. So anyway, it was like the whole origin. Of just it's like a retrospective, just thinking of that. So like going back to it, yeah, that silly symphonies cartoon, just watching old Disney really just was one of those things that pushed me to this like world cartoons. Oh, and the other film was Land Before Time.
Oh yeah. I should have. Oh, that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Land Before Time. That's also that it was crazy because it was like you know I would watch silly for the most part a lot of these Disney cartoons except for Bambi, which I did own at the time, but I don't remember it. We owned it one time, and I never saw it again. I mean, I broke it. I
You
don't
probably
know.
broke
I
that
don't
shit too.
remember. I don't
I'm
remember.
100% sure you broke
I
that
don't.
shit.
I just know that my mom didn't like Bambi, so we never ever got Bambi, right? So but she got Bambi before time because the Diana Ross song, you know,
Good song. Really good
no,
song.
it's a really good song. And that no, that story that was the first animated movie that I cried.
Interesting.
Yeah, because little Footloose's mom right in front of his eyes. Spoiler alert for a whole ass movie, right? It was like, oh, I love my mom too, right? It's like, oh, he loves his mom. It was like that type of feeling, because I never seen something like that before.
How old were you when you saw that?
Man, I had to be like 4 or 5.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That movie came out like in the late 80s, yeah?
It came out in the 80s, 80s or early
90s.
90s, early 90s. Of course, it came. I was born. I wasn't born when that movie came.
Yeah.
So that movie, will always have a place in my heart because that was like the first traumatic thing I ever watched. Right? The one of many. After that, it just the ball just drops from when you start watching anime. And like, oh god, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, and I think the other part was The Simpsons.
Yeah, but how did that last one shape you? How did the three
Oh, that's right, that's right. Because I'm jumping ahead, but like that one, the the other Disney movies, right? The other Disney movies was funny because what they brought to me is like the artistry. So, uh, that's Sleeping was it? Yeah, Sleeping Beauty, right? Forget about Snow White because I watched it when I was a kid and I broke it. So I don't, so
Yeah, how are you breaking these cassettes, bro?
just
They're
like
not made of glass.
I don't know, I just dropped them.
Bro,
I just dropped them. I
no.
I remember dropping them.
They're not that weak.
Like they're weak.
They weren't. No, it wasn't. I was a kid. I had a shit ton of VHS too. I was throwing them shits, man. Like they were being
And they
chucked
never break.
around, and they wouldn't break. Like I don't know. Is it made
I
of glass?
I
Is it
don't
like
know.
a special
No,
early VHS?
probably the early stuff they were weak.
They would know.
They were
Oh
brittle.
my
I
god.
don't listen. I have no
How
idea.
the
I just know that
fuck
when
do
I
you
took them,
break
they either. I remember vividly that the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory broke because I dropped it. Right.
Like you must have been standing super high up or some whatever reason for you to be dropping it.
I was walking. I remember I was walking and I just dropped
Oh
it. And then the other and then for the Beauty and the Beast, I think because the tape came out.
okay, see
The
that
tape came out.
that one I can let that slide.
The tape came out. That was a lot of problems. I remember that one has a lot of problems. I remember watching a lot of it, but it was never really my favorite. Although I did like the dwarves, you know, the dwarves, and they come and they get the all the gems and stuff. I don't know. I just like that scene when you first meet them. Those seven dwarves, whatever their names were. But I know it's terrible. But that was my least favorite movie. Yes, it has like a very, it's like, the first Disney movie, from Disney and all that stuff. Has very historical, but it's not my favorite,
It is.
But the one that really captured me were Jungle Book, right? And I watched the most. Jungle Book, Sleeping Beauty, right? And the last one, like Beauty and the Beast from Disney. There were other ones because my cousin, she her her my aunt is a massive Disney fan. She loves Mickey Mouse. And to this day she still has like a whole collection of the VHS clamp, the shell casing
Yeah.
of Disney movies from Pinocchio, all that. Pinocchio, all the old ones that they re-released.
Yeah.
Some live action ones, Jumanji, because Jumanji was Jumanji this? I don't remember. Yeah, that and then
It might have been.
it might have been, but yeah, it had all those uh different, she had all those, right? Which I watched, so it was like cross, you know. I didn't have those, but if I want to watch, Pinocchio, right? They had it. Or if I want to watch, let's say, Peter Pan, they had it. But those weren't the films that shaped me because the ones I watched were Sleeping Beauty again, Jungle Book, and Beauty and the Beast. So I'll start with uh, Sleeping Beauty. That one there is because how technical it was for the art, you know, and the one thing about this particular when they first came out on VHS is that after the movie they had the special features or like behind the scenes. So watching how you know hand painted they hand painted all the backgrounds and all those things. They show how the process were and how long it was. I didn't still I was a kid, didn't understand it, but just watching like an old man just painting the characters, it was like it was like a muse. It was like a muse, like, oh, art. This art thing is interesting.
The act of moving pictures.
Acting, moving, drawing pictures. Drawing pictures, right? And then it just continues on with like the painting and all that, all those aspects of when it comes to making them, right? And for Jungle Book, I think Jungle Book was like the fun factor. Was like the thing that was just fun. You know, it brought me back to the Silly Symphony. Because the Silly Symphony cartoons, the only thing I could say to them because it was they were shorts. That they they talk about either sad things, scary things. You know, it sucks that I don't remember the cartoons, but there were moments in that collection that were like kind of fucked up, you know. So it was like what, but it was not as traumatic as Land Before Time that made you cry. It just made you creepy. You were like what because they were toning the line a bit with when it comes to those cartoons, those old cartoons, right? So yeah, but that got me to like, oh wow, it's so silly, so fun, whimsical, with the music. And it's the only Disney movie that I like the music from. I never I'm not a musical person. I think I talked about this a lot in our podcast. I don't like musicals, especially from animation, because a lot of times, yeah, they're great. They're probably written well, but they always feel forced. Like we're having this conversation and here comes the song, here comes the tune, dun, 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 and you're like, oh
Oh,
boy, here
here
we
we
go,
go.
here we go. Da, 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 da. Really, you don't need to sing about what's happening right now. So that's the only thing I also learned is like I also learned my dislikes.
Even that young?
Yeah, that young is like I don't like singing.
I don't like singing.
I don't like singing. Yeah. Prior to those, my first movie I ever watched in a movie theater was Hercules. So I watched Hercules when it first came out in the movie theaters. It was awesome. Again, did not like the sing. When the guy, when Hercules was singing, when he starts to sing, I could go to the distance, right? And this is I just go to the distance, all that stuff. I'm like, whatever. Get on with the action. No, but I remember watching Hercules for the first time, and that was it was also the last time I ever watched a movie in the movie theater until later on when my sister got jobs and they're like, "Hey, let's take you to the movie theater. Let's watch Lilo and Stitch." And that was the second one. I believe that's the second movie I ever watched in the movie theater.
So, I mean, a little bit derailing, but you saw the original scene then.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I saw the original scene. It because I watched it again. Not to derail, but I watched it again. I was like, I don't remember that scene.
What? No island?
Yeah, I watched the original scene. I remember
That's cool.
the building. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, going back. So the last one was Sleeping Beauty, right? So Sleeping Beauty. What can I say about this one? This one was the most memorable one. Like I know, like the other ones, they have all these things, right? It's just that that movie in particular was very memorable because it was like a shared experience with me and my mom. Even though we had, even though I had them with those other films because she's the one who bought them,
Yeah.
she's giving them to me. But this one we have a more shared experience because this is her favorite movie. So being her favorite movie was my favorite, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I watched it a lot of times. But yeah, the music I was fine with. Well, I don't care. Yes, I can reference the songs, of course, because you watch them, you have to listen to them.
No
Yes,
choice.
no choice. I didn't want to skip either, because fucking tape, you don't want to fuck up the tape from the cassette, right? So yeah, so no, I that was a movie that it just it's always in my brain as like one of the best animated films from that generation. And it's crazy how I miss uh Lion King and all these other Little Mermaid because my mom didn't like them.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I was unfortunate, but I later watched them and I was like, yeah, Sleeping Beauty was better. I remember my cousin talking about Lion King like it was the greatest thing on earth, which it sure was. But to me, well, it was Sleeping Beauty. And that you cool. I don't care about those things, you know. So yeah, no, it was it's just it's just great, great old time, you know. And of course, the other one I mentioned earlier was The Simpsons because we had Saturday morning cartoons. That's how old we are. For people who are listening
Ah,
to this,
shit.
we used to wake up at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning to watch cartoons. Uh,
Yeah, them Saturday morning cartoons be hitting, man.
yeah, those Saturday morning cartoons, and also when we get out from school, we had to go and
After school
rush
cartoon.
and watch afternoon cartoons. You know, and every time, especially for us, we used to watch this on what was it the WB or CW now, right? And so afterwards, after the afternoon or Saturday morning cartoons or whatever, they will either show The Simpsons. They'll show The Simpsons. Well, especially for the afternoon, they will show Simpsons.
No, afternoon for sure, yeah.
Yeah, they will show Simpsons, Seinfeld. It was like a transition. Like, okay, we're going from kids cartoons, adult cartoons, and then
This,
normal sitcoms for
yeah.
adults and people, right? So that was like a good transition type of thing. Like once you see The Simpsons, it's like, oh, it's over. Do your homework, go to sleep.
Yeah, time to do your homework at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So The Simpsons was great about The Simpsons though. It was like to me, it was like a litmus test. It was like a test. It was like a good way to teach me like, am I growing up? And what I mean by that is like watching The Simpsons when I was a kid. It was fun. I didn't understand a goddamn thing about it, right? Because all the jokes were going over my head, and all the references, all those things. But as I get older, and at that time, we grew up watching reruns
Yeah.
of a lot of old shows. And guess what? All those reruns are all references to what the Simpsons were talking about. So as I get older and you're watching reruns, and then when you watch The Simpsons, all the jokes that you never laughed, now you're laughing
But you finally get it.
because you finally get it.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it was like a treat. It was like so. It's like each time I watch The Simpsons, like
I get it.
yeah,
You're getting older, son.
oh yeah,
You're
you're
getting
getting
older.
old.
You're finally understanding what we're talking about. Just gradually, like, introducing you to, like, the real world.
Yeah,
Like, in a, I want to say fun, but, like, in a, a fun way, kind of.
yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. So it was a lot of that. So it was a lot of that, and and it's crazy because it was all those, and of course you're watching them over and over again because there's no internet. Well, there was internet, but not this accessible.
No.
Like there was a time there's no YouTube. There's no such thing as YouTube. So we didn't, we had, we're not, waking up with a phone in our hands to watch something. We had to get up, grab a thing, rewind it, play it back. You know, or we had to wait the next day or a certain time
Yeah, we can catch the episodes.
to catch the episode and things like that. So yeah, it was crazy. But it was a lot, but it was a lot more memorable, you know, because you had to be there,
Yeah.
you know.
Like, if there was a be there, be square type of thing, it was like watching TVs back in the days. Like,
But
if you wasn't there to catch the newest episode of Cold Day Kids Next Door, you were straight square, bro. Like,
yeah,
you
no,
just get out of there. Like,
you
you
can't
can't talk to us, so you ain't watching. You can't go to school at all. You can't go to school.
Yeah.
I watched KND last night. Like, what? That was. Oh, you
Yeah.
get over there to the side. Just stay over there and play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and we're gonna talk about Kids Next Door right here. All right.
Yeah, exactly. You were skewed. Oh, for sure, for sure. And you know what's funny about Cartoon Network? Because that Cartoon Network was like the holy grail
No, it was.
for for sure, for sure.
It was the cartoon
It
place.
was the cartoon place.
Funny enough, even though I love all those cartoons more now than before, like, I still Nickelodeon was my home. I was a
No,
Nick boy before I
you
was a
wasn't.
Cartoon Network boy.
Yeah, so that's
Powerpuff Girls dragged me into Cartoon Network.
yeah. So like my transition because at that time it was those, and then we are getting cable, right? So of course I was a Nickelodeon kid first. Nickelodeon kid for reals. Rugrats
Mhm.
coming out, or they already did. They were at that time when I was little. They were rerunning again Rocco's Modern Life
Yeah.
because they it came out in the early '90s, and then after that show ended, they just did 1 year, another full couple, another full other 2 or 3 years of them re-showing the show again. So everybody that weren't born for one know Rocco. That was crazy though, because they don't do that ever. Once the show ended, that was it. But for that show, it was the only show that they rerun it. Now they rerun everything.
Yeah.
That one was special. And of course, Hey Arnold. Like
Hey Arnold.
I could go on that, and I feel like we could do another like a podcast talking about like the things in Nickelodeon and stuff from Cartoon Network. But now we're just talking about like the things that shape us.
Yeah.
But like again, so I'm gonna go back. The Simpsons. That really because I'm going ahead a bit again, but like The Simpsons really was because nowadays everybody's watching Family, you know, and they kind of replaced The Simpsons in a way. Because I remember because I was talking to somebody in my job who's a little, he was younger, and he talks about Family Guy with all this, all these bravado. Like I'm talking about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
If I was talking about The Simpsons, I thought. Well, for us, we watched The Simpsons. Like, see, I never watched The Simpsons. Like, damn, I'm old. Like, oh shit, right? So, but it was crazy because now I don't want to stick on Family Guy because that show didn't didn't shake me. It's just funny because in retrospect, I remember when it first came out, and I was like, man, this show is trying to be like The Simpsons. It's like, what is this? And it's hilarious how it was canceled and it got brought back. But anyway, so going back, so I got cable, Nickelodeon, of course. Disney is so weird at that time, and Disney Channel, they were they of course they have animated shows, but it was like not that many, or it wasn't that many. And if they did, they aired it at very weird times
Yeah.
of days, because all I remember, and this is when I got older and I started to, now watching a lot of more live action stuff. I will watch a lot of live action things like kids sitcoms, from Disney. But there was one show in particular and one block in Disney that I used to watch all the time, and that brings me back to like watching older stuff. Is do you remember the block after Disney called Old Disney? Was it Old Disney? They used to show Zorro. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Yeah. So just like in every blog, you know how Nickelodeon has
Nick at Night.
Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Well, um,
Yeah.
Disney Channel used to have the same thing, which is called Old
I
Disney.
don't remember old Disney.
So Old Disney, for those of you who are young, yeah, probably everybody's young listening to this, right?
Oh, we'll never know.
We'll never know. Uh, um, it's a block at the end, just like Nick at Night, and it would just show old documentary films from that Disney made, right? And sometimes older films, and sometimes when they feel like it, cartoons, especially the Mickey Mouse cartoons or the Goofy cartoons or the Donald Duck cartoons. Whenever they feel like it, they air it. But most of the time, they air is the Wonderful World of Disney, which is where you meet Walt Disney and he talks about this is the new ride. This is the Florida project. He's talking about how he's gonna build Disney World, how he visit Florida and all that stuff. You're drawing a blank, but that's what it was.
I probably skipped over that.
You probably did, cause not a lot of people watched it,
Yeah.
but I watched it.
Oh, you're weird.
I watched it. No, I'm not weird. It was just a part of it. Cause also I wanna also reason why I watched this because I used to share a room with my parents. So my mom would watch TV, put a timer to fall asleep. So when old Disney come out, we would watch Zorro, maybe Wonderful World Disney. The other one was the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, I know. They would show old episodes, black and white, Disney Mouse Club. They would do the song, Emma, they would spell Mickey Mouse's name and all that shit, right? That was weird because like I watched them like all these white people singing and dancing. It was so weird,
I don't remember none of that.
You probably skipped it. You probably skipped it. A lot of people skipped it. A lot of people skipped
Yeah.
it. So I will watch Zorro. I just remember whatever cartoon that was on in Disney Channel at that time, for or whatever show that was on Disney Channel, it go you hear Zorro under the night, that theme song Zorro. Yeah. So that Zorro cartoon was, well, not cartoon, but that Zorro live action show was like a cartoon, and I was like, "Whoa, this is cool!" This guy dressed up like Batman. you know, because at that time, Batman was also not air. The reruns towards the new season. It was weird because I was born between seasons of Batman, the anime series, right? So they would show, they would rerun the old episodes that came out, I think in 1991 to like the newer stuff they were airing, and also then, but yeah, I was like, oh man, like the parallels of like this character, Batman, and it's like cool. It was like, man, for me, it's like cool. It's like this is what movies are. This is where these shows are, and then of course Cartoon Network. Now I have a very weird, a strange relationship with Cartoon Network in the sense when we had it, they had was I think it was only Dexter's Laboratory, and a bunch of Popeye cartoons, Warner Brothers, Scooby Doo. They were doing a lot of Hanna Barbera reruns, and that's why I started to learn about Hanna Barbera. Not learn, but like I watched Hanna Barbera cartoons because they were
Rerunning
rerunning
a bunch of them.
the
So it
shit.
was before. It was sort of before like the whole
Yes,
big,
yes,
the big hitters of Cartoon Networks came
yes,
through.
yes. So much, in fact, I remember that the first show they were advertising, like our brand new show. You want to guess what show was it? You said it.
I said it.
Yeah, it was Powerpuff Girls.
Really?
Yeah, they were advertising Powerpuff Girls coming soon. I was like, whoa, I can't wait for that.
It was that early.
Yeah, it was that early.
Holy shit!
Yeah, yeah, it hasn't came out. It was 1997 that Powerpuff Girls came out. I don't remember. I don't know if it's 96 or it was 97. It just needed a couple of months and then they would, Powerpuff Girls would come out. No, I was excited. I was like, oh, cool. I want to watch that cartoon or whatever, right? But then something happened and I did not have Cartoon Network. I saw that commercial for it. I'm just remembering, you know, what I remember. But I remember like they were advertising Powerpuff Girls. And I was like, all right, cool. I can't wait to watch Cartoon Network. This is great. I get to watch all these old cartoons like Popeye and whatever, right? And then I wake up to watch Cartoon Network. Just the white noise.
Oh,
The white noise. And I was like, what?
you just couldn't get it back.
Yeah, did not.
Damn.
Yeah, didn't. Yeah, I don't know whether it was the cable package that we had, or like the cable packages had that channel for a little bit, and then they took it off.
Man, it can't be though.
I don't know. For whatever reason, it was gone. It was gone for me, but not forgotten because I was like, because that was legit. Like, oh my god, this was my place, and now I'm stuck watching fucking some, Alone in the Dark and or I don't remember a lot of the old shows from Disney.
I really don't.
I really don't
I don't
remember.
even. But the nineties,
I'm
two
saying
thousands.
Vina. I'm stuck watching
Vina.
Vina. I'm stuck watching that. And it was funny too, cause like also because of Zorro, I was also watching a lot more, live action stuff. So like, for after Kids WB, during the Saturday mornings, they would show Hercules and Xena. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I remember watching that. That was cool. It was kind of weird, but it was cool.
The
And
live action Hercules.
yeah, of course we had the I don't want to go into it because it's like there's because now we're going into the multiple universe of TV
Yeah, it's all the
channels.
cheesy channel that have
Yeah,
kids cartoons.
yeah. So of course Fox,
Fox Kids,
Fox Kids,
Kids
Fox Bucks,
WB,
Kids
Fox
WB,
Fox, Jetix,
yeah,
all that
ZX,
shit.
UPN,
UPN. Surprisingly,
UPN.
UPN.
Now, so great thing I brought up UPN. UPN was before. there was a moment before. This is before Yu-Gi-Oh came out. All the anime in Pokemon. It's before Pokemon 2. UPN or sometimes I don't know. For sure UPN for Florida, yeah. 'Cause I looked it up. They had Speed Racer, Sailor Moon,
Hmm.
and there was a one. I don't remember what was the last one, but other than that, those two I remember vividly because these were the first anime. Well, the first cartoons that I realized is not American cartoons in my brain. As like little kid brain, like this is not Disney, this is not Hanna Barbera, this is not whatever, this is not Popeye, right? I was like, what is this? And I would watch Sailor Moon with my sister, and then Speed Racer, and then that's it. We had to leave, to go to school, right? Or they have to leave to go to school, at that time. But after that, I was like, oh man, this anime is pretty cool looking, you know, you know. So that kind of that's like the origins. That like that's how it goes for me. So for Cartoon Network, so when I lost it the first time, and in a few years, randomly out of the blue, it appeared in my cable again. This era already had anime, so we already had Dragon Ball Z, right? I think this was the early Toonami. Forgot which version of Toonami was this, but this was just Dragon Ball Z, Samurai. What was it? Samurai. What is it?
Or Afro Samurai.
No, no, no. It was the Samurai. Was it six? No, not six samurais. I remember there was a samurai show, samurai cartoon. Shonen Warriors, Ronin Warriors. There you go, Ronin Warriors. It was Ronin Warriors. Although I didn't really like caught on watching it because when I was interested to watch it, it was gone again. And they had a documentary show about cartoons. I don't remember. Do you remember that in Cartoon Network? This is early. This is very early. So
Maybe.
They used to have these shows where it was like I don't know if you familiar with like back in those days they used to have like shows where they just talk about stuff that happened a long time ago. They would just do the deep documentary shows.
Kind of, I think. I'm not sure if it was the wrong channel or something.
Like you know how Food Network had the show Rap. I don't know if you
No.
do. You don't remember that?
No.
Man, bro, we need somebody.
Even if they have cartoons,
No,
they ain't watching it.
well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, remember they had like shows where they talk about things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So this was one. This was a show in Cartoon Network they used to have. I don't remember the name. I'll look it up after this podcast. But it they talk about animation and not just animation but cartooning. Like why this cartoon was important. It was pretty much like the the animation history class that we had in school, but it was a TV show where we had like prominent, prominent uh, critics and reviewers of that time, right? That grew up with that stuff and they analyzed the shit out of it, so they're talking to you about their history, why they were made, how they were made, why is it important, things like that. They also talk about bad cartoons, how offensive and all this stuff. The the reason why they're important, because they're fucked up, but is a part of it's our history knowing like how fucked up it is. It's important to always remember how fucked up our history was. Can't hide it. So so yeah, it was like very that was the most eye opening thing because I remember they talking about Porky Pig, how Porky Pig used to be like these the way the differences between how Porky Pig used to be when they draw him to now, to where how we're familiar about him. So I remember that Porky Pig episode. and how when Warner Brothers were doing it. I know we're going into this, but like how when Warner Brothers started Porky Pig, he was the star. It wasn't Bugs Bunny. It was Porky Pig, and then later it became everybody else. It became Bugs Bunny, you know. But I that thing in particular was another moment where cartoons just like, oh shit, it's funny shit, you know, and I'm like, oh crap. Yeah, it just made me more interested in all this. Yeah, no, those were the main factors, or one of the main factors. Like, they're like pillars of it, you know, because everything else is more of the, you know, I don't want to go too ahead because that's now, you know, I know now I'm older,
Yeah,
and
you're
now
already developed.
now I develop, and now my fandom and my nerdom, and now we're just going deep diving. But but that was the earlier years, like my love for cartoons and animation in general. Whether it's, you know, it doesn't matter to me, like whether it's anime, Japanese cartoons, or you know 40s and 50s, you know Max Fleischer cartoons
Sure.
and things like and or or whoever, you know, cartoons that just I just love them all, you know. You know, even if they're fucked up now,
Yeah.
but they're fucked up now, but like don't matter to me. They're just interesting and just, you know, inventive, you know. And I'll give you one last bit. Because of that, and because there's another chapter, and this is the chapter that goes between already growing up and just going to my fandom. Is that I live, you know, in a little small apartment, right? And then that had cable, right?
But I gave you free cable.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. No, because I don't know. But when I moved from there and I moved to the house that we live right now, right? Uh, we have no cable whatsoever. None. Nothing. We watch local TV,
Mm.
and the only cartoons I watched
Clifford the Big
were
Window.
were Clifford the Big. Yeah, it was on. Yeah, PBS were more prevalent,
Yeah.
even though it was prevalent before, but it's just more prevalent now because
Yeah.
there was
So
nothing else to watch.
yeah, I feel you on that one.
Yeah,
That was like the majority of my
yeah,
childhood.
yeah. No, that was the majority of my childhood too. So it was. So I only have that. I only had the Saturday mornings, which was
Yeah.
crazy because at that time there was a lot more Saturday
Good
mornings
stuff. Yeah.
and a lot of good stuff, and they were all different. You know, you go to Fox, we go to
Mm-hmm.
WB,
Yeah.
and it was
Just go
great.
back and forth.
Nothing was together. There was no different. There was nothing. It was you had these, and of course you got a lot of adult cartoons that they were shoving
Yeah.
up from you know there were adult cartoons that were in HBO, and they later did reruns for it on local TV. You know, I but I didn't really watch them because they would show in spurts. They didn't really last long compared to like The Simpsons. So they're more obscure to me, you know. But a lot of people who have watched it, they see it, you know. And so yeah, so for me, when that era, the only way for me to like I any watch anything was either I bought the DVD, this DVD era.
Boy.
So I bought DVDs for either because I remember we bought a DVD player. We still had a TV that played cassette, so I was able to watch my Sleeping Beauty and uh, Jungle Book and whatever. But I also have a DVD player, you know, and we didn't have a bunch of animated movies yet. For I don't I need to look to see which was the first. But I remember at that time we go to dollar store and they used at that this is a particular time where they were selling old cartoons from public domain and they were putting on DVDs, and they were selling them for $1. I don't know if you ever seen them, but I used to buy them up, and they were like Felix. They were like old Felix the Cat cartoons, Popeye, random Popeye cartoons, even random Three Stooges cartoons. Yeah, it was a collection. I have them still. I gotta find them,
Okay.
but yeah, it was like a random assortment of old ass cartoons, and yeah, I just watch them. I feel like they were rips from like actual, DVDs, because they all have things about they will have features where they talk about like the making of stuff or whatever. But yeah, that was how I entertained myself during that era until we finally got cable again. But yeah, there was the one point where I had cable, one point I didn't have cable.
I hated that part.
Yeah,
It was very inconsistent how often we got cable at my place. Very inconsistent. That's what shaped you. All that.
all that was fake me. That's pretty much the origins of it, you
And
know.
just getting into like the
Yeah,
cartoons that you
yeah, the cart.
enjoy now.
Yeah, yeah, and so I'll end my other for anime, right? Because I watch those anime stuff, like the Sailor Moons and that Dragon Ball Z is I think we talked about the story about Dragon Ball Z. I'll share another time when we get, when we do this again, you know, when we talk about more about other things that we watched. But but it but Dragon Ball Z wasn't the anime that got me to anime, right? For most people, especially kids here in Florida, like in our group, our our people, you know, they Dragon Ball Z was like the thing, was like it was the gateway, for a lot of kids here, you know. So, but for me, it wasn't. It was other shows. So because of that, I remember one day going to Best Buy back in the day, right? They were still having VHS tapes. I remember they had the alley. Remember they used to have alley. Now they don't have any alleys. When you remember back not back in the day, but remember a few years ago where you could go buy DVDs and with rolls of DVDs.
Oh yeah.
But back then it was the same way, but just rolls of VHS tapes, right? And so I remember going there and I was like, okay, I want an anime, you know. So I went in there. I remember I went in there to buy anime because I have Disney, I have this. I want something different, right? And this is the first time we ever going to Best Buy and buy something. Usually we just go and look. So I remember we went there. I went to the anime section, and boy, it was kind of intimidating because they questionable materials everywhere, right? I think at that time, Blue Blue Gender. It was an anime from Funimation called Blue Gender series. It's like this. They're fighting aliens and shit, but it was a weird cover. But it was like a naked girl or a naked person. But it was kind of, you can't be like, oh, mom, I want this.
Yeah, how old were you?
I don't remember that day. I don't remember. I think I was maybe 7.
Damn.
Yeah, 7, 6. I know it was like around either before 2000 or 1999, somewhere between there. You know, somewhere between that. So I yeah, so I was like looking. I was looking at the VHS tapes. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm probably like skipping all the classic stuff that now I love. I'm like, oh no, this is not for me. I can't explain my parents that. And then I found one anime that I think this will work, and it was Samurai Cats, Samurai Pizza Cats, and it was the TV movie where they put all the episodes,
One.
all the important episodes together to make a movie,
Yeah.
and then the last, yeah. So it's like it was
Fuck
everything in
yeah.
one. Yeah, so the first anime I ever bought was Samurai Pizza Cats. And then
What
the shit hit the
investment?
fan, bro. That
What of investment? Goddamn.
it's the best, man. Everybody loved it.
I mean, anybody who watched it, maybe, yeah.
Why? Why you hated on
I'm
Samurai
not
Pizza
hating
Cats?
on it. I just don't even know what the like. I know you guys showed it to me, and even then, I'm just like, what the fuck am I watching?
Samurai Pizza Cat. But yeah, no, that was the origins, man. Yeah, that was the origins, man. That was first anime right there that I bought.
Yeah, you had a lot of information back then. Like none. I'll be real with you. Everything that I learned about animation didn't come up until damn near well, one when the internet fucking got better and was like a lot more accessible, and two, pretty much when I got into college, or at least a little bit before I got into college, because like after like it was like right after high school, I had 3 months, and then I went straight into college. So it was like there was barely any in between because I just wanted to start right there and then.
Yeah,
But for me, I like I'm a straightforward person. Like I'm barely distracted by anything that I don't like.
yeah,
So everything like if that's why when it hits me, it makes it makes a severe impression on me.
right.
So not a lot of things have done that. Like if I were to tell you like one of my favorite animes obviously of all time is One Piece. But the One Piece did not shape me at all. It only enhanced my storytelling. It only every medium that I have absorbed since like since I left hell since fucking the my middle school days. Every medium I have absorbed have only been there to help me advance the person that I want to be.
Yeah,
But there are only a few things that really shaped me in terms of like cartoons. Cause like I'll be like I'm a bit jealous because like me and you we weren't that far born apart. Not even like by 5, probably like 1 year.
yeah.
Legit 1 year, yeah. So like the fact that you was able to watch like all
All
the
that shit.
not all that shit, but just like the legit all the old good Bugs Bunny because like it wasn't until like I would say like I don't know. I think around like the mid 2000s when they started rerunning
Yeah,
the Looney Tune cartoons. That's when I first started watching Looney Tunes. I didn't even know about like I knew about Bugs Bunny and all them, but I didn't really get the chance to watch them because
yeah,
A, I didn't have cable. I didn't know where to watch them.
yeah,
And like I never really had that information like where to find all those things.
yeah,
So like a lot of things that you talked about literally flew under my radar. Like if it wasn't like like if it wasn't up in your face, I wouldn't have known about it. And sadly, like that's just how it was for me. I didn't get a chance to like I can't be like how I am now where I'm able to like go back and like really look and search for something that could probably catch my interest. Cause like even like during college, I went back and watched a whole bunch of Popeyes cartoons and Betty Boop. I was like, yo, this shit is crazy fun. And like I would have loved to watch that as a kid. Maybe it would have shaped me into something different. But I mean, I can't say I'm not happy with who I am now. So basically, the cartoons that shaped me. So where do I start? I'll start by saying I just watched. Nothing really shaped me. I just got entertained. I just loved cartoons.
damn.
It was nothing anything that really like shaped me. I just like you sit me down, you turn on the TV or I turn on the TV and SpongeBob is airing. I'm like, oh, I like SpongeBob. Rocket Power's airing. Oh, I fucking love
So,
Rocket Power.
so you say
Rugrats.
that era, that
Those
2000,
eras was when I
was that the 2000 era that got you into?
honestly, yeah, because I don't remember
Because
any
it was
other cartoons.
because the 2000 era it was Rocket Power. I know this.
Yeah.
It was,
For
it
the
was Rocket Power. It was
right,
fucking
Rugrats, SpongeBob, Cat Dog, Morocco's Modern
Modern Life.
Life.
Because they were
Um,
still airing it
yeah.
again.
So like all
Um,
those cartoons, and I didn't even know about
Doug
Cartoon Network
was
back then.
Doug
Yeah,
too.
Doug too.
Yeah.
Doug was there, but it was Doug with Disney first or with Nick?
It was
With Nick
with
first,
Nick
and
first,
then
and
Disney
then
took
went to
it.
Disney.
All right, so yeah, so it was Doug, and
And Hey
like
Arnold,
and
don't
Hey
forget.
Arnold,
Don't
yeah, of
hey
course.
don't Hey, Hey Arnold's like
Harold was like legit
it's like Patrick
projects.
Saint. It's like the Patrick Saint of cartoons for us, cause it's like it was like the first cartoon that was like
No, like that's relatable.
relatable.
But like
That was
they
a
were like legit
relatable cartoon.
friends or people that I know that were
Yeah,
close to like the characters that you see in Hey Arnold. And it's
yeah,
like that is one to one. I may not have a football head, but you will see a Gerald running around here
yeah.
and there.
Hey Arnold is like the Patrick Saint of cartoons. I don't know how to say it, like, cause it legit like
Yeah.
you can't say nothing bad about it.
No, you really can.
You say Hey Arnold, everybody be like,
That's my
that's right.
that's right. Don't forget.
Don't forget.
But yeah, like it was just I would just watch the cartoon. I will always be entertained with the cartoons. Like
Yeah,
if they had like good episode, like happy episode, I'd be happy. They had sad episode, I'd be sad. Funny, funny, angry, angry. You know all those. It made me feel, and I enjoyed that. It was medium that I could like legit swallow and like just like not regurgitate it. You know, because there would be like sometimes there'll be like some weird cartoons or some stuff my family, my parents would watch. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? You know? And I just wouldn't absorb the information. I'll just like get up and just walk out and. But I was also an outdoors kid too, so I
yeah.
just like being outside, playing
Oh,
with
I
my
have some
family.
preferences. I did play outside. I didn't just stay in and watch
I would just
cartoons.
stay inside the house watching
No, I
cartoons all day.
then went outside to play.
So it was pretty much like if there was cartoon airing, I'll be there to watch it.
Yeah.
There's no cartoons, I'm doing something else. So I would just watch those cartoons. I would watch all those cartoons, and then there was a time, uh, funny enough, this is my first introduction to anime because I think even then, no, actually yeah, it was my first introduction to anime. It was
There were, cause I'm sure for me there, cause I skipped around, but these were very important. Like those were the cartoons that sticks out in my head because I did watch Betty Boo. We did own a VHS copy of it, but it was just part of like the silly certificates, you know.
yeah.
So even though I forgot to mention that, it's just the thing is just part of it, you know. And so some of the animes I watched that wasn't Sailor Moon, you know,
They were still a part of it.
they're still part of it. It's just that it wasn't the one that's that point me to the direction of like,
Yeah.
hey, this is it, this is what you're gonna like soon, type of
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, but like on like you said, UPN 33, there was a time like when my mom had to go to work, my dad was to work like early in the morning. They would drop me off at their I don't even know who she was. She wasn't a family member. She was like a friend
Friend
of
of the
my
family.
I guess a friend of a family,
Yeah,
and she would drop us off there like super early in the morning.
yeah, yeah,
And since she didn't know like what to do with kids, she would just put say like UPN 33 on, and then it would it would shuffle through commercials and like old shows. And then Sailor Moon would come on, and that was my first introduction to anime. But I didn't know at the time. I thought it was just like another cartoon with a different style that I had no idea about. And it's funny because like even though it was an anime with a story, I never and this is important because up until this point, I only knew cartoons as individual episodes. Like they were never
yes,
cohesive.
yeah.
They never really had an arc. They never really had anything to like really like sit your ass down and say like, yo, pay attention to this shit, you
I
know?
was the same way. Yeah, all of them. I felt like they were all one big episode or one big season. Every
I
single
feel like I
cartoon.
didn't even know about season. I just felt like each episode was their own thing, like
Yeah, yeah.
SpongeBob or Rugrats.
Or it was like that is part of the same world type of thing.
Yeah.
For me, I thought everything was like the same.
Oh,
So like if I saw, not to cut you off, but when I saw, let's say a Popeye cartoon and then I see like Codenames, Kids Next Door, I like, oh, they're part of the same
same
world.
word.
Just
It was just like a little
yeah,
kid brains just doing what they what does best,
yeah,
being
and
stupid.
they're friends with the guy who eats spinach, like
They're friends with the guy who eats spinach and punches people. Yeah,
yeah,
in their kids next door.
yeah,
But it was the first time like I've seen a style like that,
yeah,
and it just sort of stayed in my head. You know, like this style is is different from like how back then anime was with the how they were drawn back then,
yeah,
and like all their expressions that are uh sort of made them popular or just even like very recognizable.
yeah,
That just stayed with me, as like a bookmark. but I never really paid much attention to it. But
Yeah, but those
moving
bookmarks are
forward,
the things
no, yeah, that's what, cause like moving forward, that's when Four Kids came into my life, and
so you skipped around from all that to four kids.
yeah, because like I said, like not a lot of things really touched my little eyes,
Yeah.
like
Not Digimon
no, because I didn't know those existed
and
yet.
what's it called? BattleBots.
I
No.
didn't know they
So
existed
you,
yet.
cause that's the whole Foxbox era, the Foxbox,
I
the
didn't
Fox
know
Kids.
Fox or Fox
Mm.
Kids existed. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
none of that, like that world was non-existent to me. If it wasn't PBS Kids or during the time when I had cable, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, it didn't hit me.
And
I
what
was
about uh, Kids WB?
Well, Kids WB came in after that. Why I started watching Sailor Moon because I would
Oh,
watch it
okay,
like
okay.
before I go to school and stuff.
Yeah,
And then like you have friends they're like, oh man, you can watch it on Kids WB. Well, Kids WB, and then I guess like
yeah.
oh shoot, look at all these things, and then you see like some like childish anime like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon's there, but I didn't touch those at all. Like it was mostly like Shaolin Showdown, Jackie Chan Adventures, but like I would still watch
Yeah.
them but like not get into it. It wasn't until like okay, I know it's like the cartoons that shape us, and Pokemon does play a big part, but I wasn't introduced to Pokemon in the anime version. It was Pokemon. Pokemon became a phenomenon that I sort of ignored
Yes.
for a long time,
And it's funny
and
that you say that because I remember talking to you about. You remember the phenomenon that Pokemon was, and you were like, "What?" Like, yeah, like
I did like it wasn't until they told me it was a phenomenon that I didn't know it was a
it
phenomenon.
was a
I did
phenomenon.
not know. Like
It
it
was
was
a
I
phenomenon.
was oblivious to Pokemon throughout the entire Kanto region.
Yeah, I was a kid when that happened, and I was like, "Bro, this is bigger than anything
And I
ever."
didn't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my friend,
People,
my best friend that
not to be
back in the
dark,
day.
not to be dark and cut you out, but kids were dying for Pokemon.
But it wasn't until like my childhood best friend, he came to me and he said, "Yo man," because like he was like he liked to like talk a lot about like he liked to talk to a lot of people,
Yeah.
so like, he gets a lot of information. So he's like, "Hey man, you ever heard of Pokemon?" I'm like, "Pokemon, what's that?" And it's like, "Oh, it's this cool show that's on Kids WB and all that stuff." I'm like, "What? What's that about?" It's like, "Oh man, it's about these cool creatures that like shoot lightning and fire and all that stuff." I'm like, "What? That's crazy." And I get home, and well, I'm starting to watch it, and the first time I've watched Pokemon, it definitely was after 2000. So like all my
I see.
90s era was like it
Yeah.
was just there.
It was a blur.
It was yeah,
It
it was
was
blur.
the background.
Yeah, it was all back.
It was on the
It didn't
background.
really shape me at
Yeah.
all. Like I didn't even know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then Pokemon came to my life. I started around the Johto region, and holy shit! I to this day, I still remember one of the first episodes of Pokemon I watched. It was an episode where Misty lost her Togepi, and it was with a
Yeah.
Houndoom, and there was this beautiful fucking music that played. I have it on my phone. It's so beautiful, and it was the first time you saw Raikou,
Yeah.
and he was in the forest, and like it was like raining hard, and then they was in the tree, and then they got out because it was like mist, and they was looking around. The music was still playing, it was beautiful, and you see Raikou just walking. You see electricity come down, he just jumps out. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It was my curiosity, like, what the hell is that? And then eventually I finally got I didn't buy it. Like my brother's friend had an extra Game Boy Color, and he gave me the Game Boy Color along with my first Pokemon introduction, which was Pokemon Silver.
You're lucky because I never got to play that game until
The emulation.
I got you, until I got Sapphire for the SP.
Yeah, I think Ruby was I mean, Emerald was the first Pokemon game I ever bought with my own money.
Yeah. I remember kids younger, the same age as me, but younger at that time, playing
Pokemon,
Pokemon Blue and
Red and Blue.
Red and Blue in the Game Boy, the original
Yeah.
Game Boy, and then later the Game Boy Color, and I'm like, what the
Hell
fuck do you have that? How you have that? Where you got that?
What is that?
Meanwhile, I'm like begging, can I get one? Yeah, nothing. I don't get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess I was just fortunate to like have someone just give it to me for like no reason.
Yeah,
And I was playing, and that's
fortunate.
I like that's when I started really getting into Pokemon when I started playing. 'Cause, like I understood what it was about, getting your quote unquote animal friends together to kick everybody's ass
Yeah.
in the Pokemon world. And then fortunately, like during all of that, I forgot it was Cartoon Network or Kids WB, but they did this whole thing where they started way from the beginning and started like rerunning all the episodes of
That
Pokemon.
was Cartoon Network.
Yeah, they started
That was
rerunning
Cartoon Network.
all the episodes of Pokemon from beginning to end. And when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and start watching it from the beginning. I didn't think of it as it was nothing else but like some random episodes about people catching Pokemon, whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then when I finally like sat down and watched like the first 3 episodes, I would assume I won't remember it. That's when I was completely hooked because it was the first time Pokemon was the first time I had a coherent story where every episode mattered because it wasn't like, oh, you can just jump into this episode and watch it and call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of episodes that did that, but overall there was something going on.
Yeah.
Ash had a goal. He got Pikachu, first Pokemon. Next one he caught was Caterpie. If you didn't see that last episode, you wouldn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
Then it evolved into Metapod, and then it evolved to Butterfree. He got a Pidgeotto. He got Charmander. He got Squirtle, Bulbasaur. Pokemon's evolved. He got his first badge, second badge. Everything was like lining up, and then you're just. This was like the first time I really felt like I had to watch this. Not oh, it's popular, I had to watch it, but as in like I need to like
It was your thing.
not even it was my thing. It was just something that it was a story.
Yeah.
This was the first story media that I've ever seen.
So it was a story that captivated you so much.
Not even captivate. It was a story. Period.
It's a story.
Like
That's what I'm saying. It just it captivated you so much that you had to watch.
like I said, like you would watch a random episode of Kids Next Door, Rugrats, and like it didn't matter whether you watched the last episode, the new episode, or whatever episode. A new episode was just a new episode. What happened there was what happened there.
Yeah.
But with stuff like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and also Sailor Moon that I didn't know about, this is a legit journey. This is a legit adventure that you're watching. I'm watching this boy grow into literally chasing his dream. I'm watching him progress through this, and it just awed me.
Yeah.
Because, like, Sparkle doesn't, I mean, he already got his dream working for the Clutch Grab, but, like, he's not, like, chasing anything. It's not like we're watching him progressively going to, like, the fry cook games to, like, become the best fry cook ever, you know?
And then become the manager.
And then become the manager and stuff like that.
Owner of the Crust Crab now.
It's not like that. It's legit boy on his
Yeah, so
adventure.
this was the first show that you got yourself watching it. I forgot what I was gonna say. Like I forgot the word was it called, oh, I forgot what the word was. It was that captured you to watch. Regular schedule program.
I mean, not just
Not
regular
schedule, but
schedule,
like just it got you to the habit of like, okay, this is a story,
like really just keep
and
it
and then
myself.
from I need to watch this story for how it plays out.
Yeah, I want to see how it plays out in the end. Like I want to legit follow this.
Yeah, like to me, Pokemon was one of them, but the thing, I was never able to watch all of them complete succession, but I always managed to get the important episodes. Where it's like the two-parter where they have to fight.
Yeah.
Whatever two-parter, I saw it. I might not see that episode or this episode, in tandem. Probably saw them, separately or somehow. But anytime there's an important battle or whatever, I caught.
Yeah.
It was that event I did caught.
Yeah, and that was sort of what because like Pokemon at that point just sort of introduced me to like a whole bunch of other series that had stories. So like then Shaolin Showdown, Jackie Chan Adventures. I mean, I told him about them. I told you about it like before, but I didn't know about the stories and stuff.
Yeah.
So like when they started coming out with stories like cohesive, I was like, oh my god, there are actually shows that has like this sort of like adventure route where we're just growing because like as I'm growing up too, but like the shows aren't really growing up with me.
Yeah.
But like it's like I'm still enjoying them.
Yeah.
So like seeing Pokemon, seeing Shaolin Showdown, all those shows, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003, is seeing everything just like sort of like going for it. And even like some of the Cartoon Network, they would have like crossover at two parts, like you said, and they would have their own like short little like arcs or whatever. or short little stories that like sort of like cohesive from this episode to the next. So you had to watch both of them to really understand the full picture. And during those times, it was like, oh my god, it was a blessing to be alive for me. So like, how Pokemon shaped me is that it got me into the whole idea of like telling a story.
Yeah, the narrative.
No, yeah, narrative, perfect. It just the narrative.
The
The
narrative.
introduction to narrative was Pokemon for me, and I literally stayed with Pokemon all the way to now. I haven't watched the entire series because obviously I got older. Pokemon was just doing its own thing, so I stayed for the younger crowd. But I played the games. I read the manga. I did anything I can to like support the series because it. When I say Pokemon shaped me, like the reason, like by the time Diamond Pro came out, 2006, and I still remember this to this day because it's a little bit of a story because it was like sort of Christmas time, right?
Yeah.
I would say like 2005, I would assume. We did like a Secret Santa in my class. I was in sixth grade. I had this one guy who, for some reason, hated my guts. He was technically my first bully, my first and last bully for like a day, because like he just hated my guts for whatever reason. I didn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
But I had him for Secret Santa, so I gave him something nice. I gave him a nice gift, right? And the only gift he gave me was like a legit competition notebook. Like that's not a competition, but like a spiral ring
A
notebook.
spiral ring.
A
Oh,
spiral ring
spiral ring
notebook.
was cool though.
Yeah, but like it was just a notebook. Everybody
Yeah,
else got
just
like candy, everybody got toys, new stuff, and then he legit just gave me that. And my teacher was so upset with them. Like she felt sorry for me, but like I didn't mind because
Cause
like
you didn't like the dude anyway.
huh?
Cause you didn't like the dude.
No, it wasn't because I didn't know he didn't like me at that time.
Oh.
That's why I was oblivious to that. Because like, he just treated me differently, you know.
Yeah.
But like at that time, I didn't really mind having an extra notebook. I just didn't know what to do with it, you know. I'm like, all right, I got an extra notebook. I already got a notebook for all my other classes, so I don't really need this. What can I do with it, you know? And he gave it to me. I just might as well use it. And that's when Pokemon Diamond Pro started coming out, and like it was like sometimes there were rumors about like cause like oh my god. Because I didn't know it was like Diamond Pearl was like the biggest part. It was like this big section of like what kind of shaped me too because it was when the internet started getting better.
Yeah.
And I started going on the internet to like really look up Pokemon to like really understand the whole series. And that's when I first realized it was an anime from not from America. I always thought every TV show that was here from America. Four kids did that to me. Four kids did that to me because they had like I singing the national anthem,
Yeah.
playing poker with Joker and all that stuff. I still remember those bumpers, those crazy ass bumpers.
Yeah, they would do these crazy ass commercials
Oh,
and these promotional things
yeah,
that are very
are very American. So I always thought that it was a different style.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like really like I always thought it was like an American cartoon, but it wasn't until I got internet and actually did some research about Pokemon because I was so in love with it that I learned that it was, a Western animation
Yeah.
and it was an anime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So there was,
It wasn't a Western animation.
yeah, it wasn't Western. I'm sorry. It was an Eastern animation from Japan. I'm like, what? So that mean they importing cartoons from over there? And I'm seeing like the list of cartoons that they imported, like Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah.
Sailor Moon. Like I've only heard of Dragon Ball, but I never watched it. But like shows like that, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was also Diamond Pro was also the time where I learned, not even learned, but like since I learned that it was an anime, I also learned that it had its own theme song. Cause I love the Pokemon theme song, but then when I heard the Pokemon opening,
The
first
Japanese.
Japanese opening,
Yeah.
the first Japanese song that I've ever heard in my life is from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl 2006. Together. That theme is so important to me because it was the first time, it was the first Japanese music that I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
And since then, I just went down the rabbit hole. It was over.
So right.
Anime was, it was, Japanese music was like what I listened to. Because I didn't really like, my sister like listened to like a lot of like, R&B and rap and stuff like that. And I enjoyed them, but I didn't really vibe with it. But when I first heard that, it vibed with me so much. I just like immediately just fell in love with like Japanese music. So that's why I listen to a whole bunch of weeb. Well, not even just weeb, because like even now I'm starting to listen to just like regular Japanese rock. But we're not talking about that shit. I'm talking about shows that shaped me. And Pokemon has shaped me so much. That's why it's a core part of me. I can't shake that. I owe it so
Yeah.
much. So that's when I first went to Japanese music, to Pokemon Diamond Pearl. But also, there was a rumor about how Pokemon Diamond Pearl was supposed to be the end of Pokemon because Arceus is the god of Pokemon, and you can't really go further
Beyond that,
beyond
yeah.
God in terms of storytelling. Because after this point, I've seen like a lot of good stories that sort of had a conclusion where the strongest is the strongest. I didn't know anything stronger than God. I haven't watched Dragon Ball, so so
No, you,
it was just stuck
okay.
in my mind. Well, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I was saying, no, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. I haven't watched Dragon Ball that time
At
yet.
that point, I'll tell you what happened with Dragon Ball. It was that why I didn't watch Dragon Ball back then. But right now, what's it
Yeah,
called?
no, continue, go.
With Pokemon, like, since I knew that since I thought it was going to end, like my
Yeah,
favorite series of all time was going to end at the time.
yeah,
It was going to end. I sort of started thinking about like what I wanted to do. That was like the first time I started thinking like what I want to do with my life when it's over because like I've been just been involved with Pokemon and I learned okay I could just do what Pokemon does. Let me do what Pokemon does, what it does, animation. But like I didn't want to like right now I want to tell story. I didn't know that until I was got into college. But from then I just wanted to do animation. I just wanted to like make a story, just like Pokemon have an adventure, have a narrative that like drives characters to like do some great things like Pokemon has done.
yeah.
You know, and that's when I wanted like started like that's when I decided that I want to be in animation.
Is that the reason for your art?
Yeah.
The love for art was all Pokemon?
It was legit
All
all
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Like if I was to show you like my I think I showed you, but I don't I probably forgot. But when I was in college, I showed you like some of the like my first legit drawing. And
Yeah,
that drawing was from that notebook that guy gave me.
yeah.
The Secret Santa guy that hates me. He gave me that book, and what I decided to do with that book was draw my first character. I drew out my first story, and it was called, believe it or not, Omega Diamond and Double Pearl. Just like a little homage to that shit, cause like it was Pokemon. I just
Of
loved it
course.
that much. That's that those drawings I still have them to this day. They're fucked up as all craziness, but Diamond, this character named Diamond Pearl, obviously,
Yeah.
is like my legit first character. Not just that I ever drew. I traced Pokemons, I traced other characters that I like, but as an OC,
Yeah.
Diamond was my first one, and all because of Pokemon. And then from there, I just started making
Alright.
my own little series based on things that I've liked. And then years goes on, Pokemon's not really over, Diamond Pro, all that other stuff. Um, and then I guess it was around high school time where actually this is the perfect time to tell you the transition between my early phase of like cartoon because like at this point I'm a like little preteen. I'm like what 15, 16. All these other cute. So I've been watching like cartoons, like regular cartoons. I've been watching Hamtaro. I've been watching
Taro.
all these really kitty animes. Like what's that one called? It was Magical Doremi. Do you remember that? Magic. One, two, three. Magical do re mi like
I
magic.
think so.
Watch and see, just like magic, you and me. Like it was like I've been watching like the Holy Star,
This is
Manga Die. It was like during that era.
okay. Is that era?
Like everything was like
That was
cutesy
that
and
was
nice.
yeah. The man, what's it called? The Moe era of anime.
Yeah.
The Moe era of
The
anime.
Moe era, yes sir.
That it's funny because now Moe is so old.
Yeah. It really is now.
So I was saying that for you it was like when the internet. So it basically
Basically, the
the
internet
internet really
really
really opened you
opened me. Yeah,
to this world.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's crazy. 'Cause
Pokemon just
that
just led me to it.
that era that you got into it, I was already into all this shit, right? So clearly, because everything that happened when I was a kid, you know, younger, so when the internet happened and when I finally got to use
Floodgates.
YouTube, it
Mm-hmm.
was a wrap.
It was a wrap
It
for
was a
real.
wrap. It was a wrap.
I was for the first time I was ahead of everyone because Japan always had this stuff first and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
was able to like see all the new Pokemon before it came out in the US, and I just felt powerful.
Yeah.
It's on top of the world. I'm like, oh, you don't know about Piplup yet, motherfucker.
What's that one?
What's Piplup?
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, that's where I'm from. I think that was the first time I saw Cerebi too, at
Yeah.
the website, and I just stuck with it ever since. But so like I've been watching like a whole bunch of like cutesy stuff, Pokemon, Hamtaro, Yu-Gi-Oh, Battle Beat 'em all those cutesy, everything that sort of felt like, uh,
That has that Pokemon aesthetic,
yeah, and then
that
I
Pokemon
just
art style.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I just like I sort of wanted to like get away with from it, but I didn't know like where else to like look towards.
Yeah.
So like let me just tell you this, like before I sort of got to that stage, back when I was like what 9 or 10,
Yeah.
I was at another of my mom's friends' place, and this is where I first saw Dragon Ball and why I avoided that series ever since. You know what the first scene of Dragon Ball that I've seen?
Yeah.
The most violent scene of Dragon Ball I've ever seen in my life. Krillin's death.
That
That was my first scene. Like literally, I walked into the room like, "Yo, have you seen this show? Look."
he's flying up in the air. That's great.
I want you to understand. I was a child. Everything up to that point was cutesy. Nobody. The only serious fight I have ever seen in my life watching cartoons was either in Codename Kids Next Door, but it was like cartoon violent. But where someone actually intentionally wanted to like hurt someone was Ash pushing Mewtwo. That was it. So it's just like walk into that room and watch this alien pick up like I didn't know Krillin was a man. I thought he was a child because he was short.
Yeah.
And he just lifts him. This is like legit the transformation sequence, the most legendary sequence of Dragon Ball history.
Yeah.
Where Goku turns to Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
And the first scene of that was just Frieza just having this man up in the air with his finger, screaming, and then this other man is like saying, "Yo, stop, don't do it, Frieza!" And he's just screaming his heart out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why is he screaming? Why is he scared? Boom!
Oh man.
It scarred me. I never wanted to like really see anything that crazy, but it scarred me. But when
Yeah.
things scar you, they just sort of like
Yeah.
implant themselves in you. And
When
I just
when Littlefoot mom,
not a little
you what does she say? I will always be with you, Littlefoot.
Ah, mama.
Yeah.
Oh my god, those scarring mode. We should talk about like things that scarred us.
That one I need to make a list. That was a
Oh,
lot. That was a lot.
oh no,
Oh, there's a lot.
that's terrible. I'm sorry, sir.
No, that one was very emotional.
Oh
It
man.
was really emotional. Because I never felt that way watching a movie before. For that scene, boy, oh
Oh
crap.
man. But yeah, it scarred me. So, but even though it scarred me, it always stayed with me. So then when I got older, I started thinking back at that. I'm like, why did this happen? Like now I know about like story, narratives, all that
Yeah,
stuff. So it's like now I'm curious. Like, why did this happen? Like, why was he screaming? Why? What it was going on in that story? Like it felt so. It felt more adult.
yeah,
Like it was more mature. Like it's something that I felt like I needed to understand.
yeah.
So like on my like just during like one of my days, cause like I was like usually like LimeWire download all the the Japanese openings
Wow.
of like all these
Do
animes.
you LimeWire all the Dragon Ball Z episodes?
Not the episodes. No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I didn't watch Dragon Ball till Kai came out when it came out on
On the
4 Kids or
or
what is
yeah,
what's it called?
it was called at that time when that happened. I remember it was called Volt, not Voltage, Vert. It starts with a V, something.
Ooh, was it
Vert,
Vortex? Was it
Vortex.
Vortex?
Yes, it was
Uh,
Vortex.
that was a
That
weird.
was gross. And when that happened, I was like, yeah, I'm old. But it was funny though, cause like when that happened, it's funny talking about Vortex. When that came out, everybody was still watching. The show that was still going on that everybody was watching was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Because when Vortex happened when they changed it up, they were airing the last season of Avatar, right? Or they were gearing up to do it. So I remember when that name changed, and I was like, man, I'm getting too old for this. And I go back to watch. I changed it.
Watch Avatar.
Yeah, go to cable to watch Avatar. Because at this point, it's like Saturday morning cartoons are dead.
Get me out the shit though. Well, yeah. So I was just like sort of craving something a little bit more adult. So I was like, I was like
Yeah.
listening to like all these different Japanese openings from like shows that I've never seen in my life. And there was one opening. It was an AMV of like the full opening that I've seen that was so bloody, so disturbing. It sort of scarred me too, but because I was older, I just wanted to get into it to like really understand it.
Yeah.
You know what that show is called?
That was that edge lord, the teenage Edge
Oh
lord.
yeah. Do you know what that show was?
Evangelion.
Yes, sir. Those first melodies just rang through my head. Dun, 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 dun. And from that on, bro, I just read the manga because that's when I started getting into the gears of just like what anime was, what Japanese culture was. And I was a straight weeaboo, I'm not even gonna lie. I was a disgusting weeaboo.
Listen, don't worry. You're
Healed now.
you. I mean, at least you weren't that old enough to remember Japanimation,
Oh god.
Japanimation, and all those things.
I'm better. I promise.
No,
I'm better.
no, you were in a. You know what's funny? When you started watching anime, you were in a good spot where you didn't caught like the cringiness of early anime, but you saw the rise of anime in the internet. So like you were in a good spot, but I mean, it's still you're still weak though.
I'm still a weak
You're
though.
still weak.
Yes, sir. So Evangelion was like my first gateway to like the more mature stuff, and like
That's why you started watching it too.
no, I didn't
It's
start
just
watching it
it.
because I didn't know where to watch at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
I where?
yeah. It aired in Adult Swim.
Yeah,
Oh, no, or Cartoon Network.
I don't remember. I remember my cousin had like I forgot what it was called. It was like an advanced cable where you could like just like go to like the slot that was just showing you just play it.
Yeah,
And I saw Evangelion there, and I started watching it there, but I couldn't see everything because I was only there for like a few days
yeah,
or like a small amount of time, and I
yeah.
couldn't watch the entire thing. But I read the manga up to I forgot. I think it was up to a certain point, and I just couldn't watch it since
Yeah.
until like college when internet was like not college but like high school when the internet was like super prevalent and it was smoother and you could actually go and watch
Yeah.
things better.
Yeah, people forget like we grew up with
The
you had to connect the phone cord,
L.
the LOL internet, where you have to,
What? The
the phone.
phone? Yeah.
There was no, by the time we were in high school, Wi-Fi was a thing,
It was yeah. He was starting to be a thing.
Yeah,
That's
Wi-Fi was a thing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, we got so far, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Evangelion got me into just like the more it's like more adult or just like more like
Adult form of storytelling.
yeah, and then from
Yeah.
there I went to Tanami and watched
That's a lot
Naruto.
of kids from the 90s that watch Evangelion. That was their first adult, anime that got them into that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was great. And then like that's when Tanami so it just became my new best friend because of Bobobo,
Well, that
Naruto.
era was awesome.
It was
That was like that was an era. It was funny because that era was awesome, and it also was its death too. Right? It was the era where it was like cool, like wow, blah blah blah, all this fun, anime.
anime stuff.
But it was also not knowing that it was also going to be its end.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was the
That was
saddest part.
sad.
That was the saddest moment ever until it came back. And we're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Welcome back, baby.
you know,
And so yeah, so Pokemon and Evangelion were just were two of the things that sort of were two of the most important cartoons in my life that or I guess anime if anything that really shaped me. Like yes, like
shape,
really
shape.
it really made me the person that I am. I'm literally this
Yes.
because of the trauma of Dragon Ball and Evangelion and the sincerity of Pokemon, the childhood wonder of Pokemon. And um, I guess the last thing that really shaped me was
What?
uh, what? What's up?
No, I was gonna say that. What was would that last one be the one that made you the artist?
No, whoa, no, because the artist version of me still stems from Pokemon. Like
Yeah,
everything was Pokemon.
just Pokemon.
Actually, everything was Pokemon up until One Piece. So told me that uh your shit could look like anything you want as long as it's entertaining. Like it's going to be a good watch.
It's funny because when I look at One Piece, I think of Popeye.
Yeah.
So like when I see it, it's like I'm like, yeah, like Popeye. Like,
Yeah.
why everybody's like this is weird? Anime is weird. Like well, you gotta watch 40 cartoons. That was always be my thing when everybody was like, anime is weird. They got people with weird faces. Like, do you not watch Popeye? You ever watch a Popeye cartoon?
You not see the
Have
disproportionate
you
man.
have you never watched a Betty Boop cartoon either? Like my
Even then, have you not seen fucking Powerpuff Girls? These motherfuckers not even got fingers. You telling me that ain't weird?
yeah, I was like, my brain will go in there. Like, you never watch a cartoon in your life? Like, how can you how can you be like this character's designs are weird?
Yeah, like
It has to be only in Japan. Like, who are you talking about?
but yeah, I think yeah. So I guess One Piece did shape me. I guess when I started One Piece, it just sort of like made me
It made
the
you
importance. It really
it
did
made
make
you
me whole.
whole.
Yeah,
Yeah, it made you whole.
One Piece made me whole because like it just told me the importance of character design and more storytelling. Like Pokemon was narrative, like having the beginning, middle, and end, but One Piece was just storytelling and character design. And then from then on, I am just me.
No, then on you live vicarious by from me
Yes,
and
because
your
now
friend.
at this point, I'm just very curious about just like everything. At that point, I think after One Piece, that's when I became a little bit more curious about every little weird aspect of the world of animation because I want to see everything. And I want to like know as much, not as much as I could, but everything that I feel like would really do to me that One Piece did. So even just, I mean, not even just what One Piece
So
did, but like
you're the reverse of me, where I've
where you
done
start
all of those
in
things
the young years
gone years
going
and
forward.
going forward. When I watch cartoons now, I know so much that I could get into anything because I know where things come from, right? While you just
It's like a
now
whole new world for
now
me.
where you is now you saw what you like and now you're seeing things that you want to benefit
Yeah,
that could benefit yourself, whether it's learning it or in
just like
and also enjoying it even
enjoying it.
more.
Yeah,
Yes.
enjoying it, seeing like
Yes.
why it was popular back then, seeing it why like how it does its stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because even then, like I started watching like really old cartoon and their movies too. Like I really like Secret of Nymph.
Secret
Secret of
Name.
Nymph,
Yes. Secret Name.
beautiful movie. I hate Watership Down.
Secret.
Because I was curious, I was like, people were like, oh, this movie is crazy. Like, oh, what's crazy about it? Oh, this is a kid movie? Why? They're crazy.
The rabbits fighting each other.
Oh, God. I still remember that bloody scene, man. I was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, God. But, I guess, like, the last thing I was going to say was, sort of, it's kind of a guilty pleasure, but I still kind of hate it for what it did to, like, the name.
Mm-hmm.
Was Godzilla 2000. It was my introduction to like, it was my introduction to like
Yeah, it's
big.
you never watched the cartoon, right?
No, I didn't know it existed because like
Yeah.
my only introduction was my dad recorded the movie on
Yeah.
VHS, the one that I never broke because I'm not clumsy as Kevin breaking VHSs from the distance of a 2-year-old child.
Listen, it broke into a million pieces. I
I
was
don't
what
understand how. I
Oh,
really, I just don't understand. That should be in a glass or something.
well,
But it was
if,
that VHS, so I didn't know the cartoons ever came out because it
yeah,
was from the
if
VHS.
you were able to watch, because a lot of those cartoons came on Fox Kids, so if you were able to,
Yeah, I don't know if I.
it's great. It's funny because I guess you never tuned into Channel 7 during
Probably
Saturday
not.
morning, right?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
That's
Fox.
crazy.
Yeah, because it would be too time to you either sacrifice either one Kids WB or Fox Kids.
Yeah.
So Fox Kids had Power Rangers,
They had
and they had
Teenage
most
Ninja
of the
Turtles.
anime,
They also had
like
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
There was this wacky pig anime. I forgot what it was. He would transform. It was kind of cool. And there was Digimon. That's where you watch Digimon. Uh, yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot more. I can't think of it right now on top of my head. But, no, no. That if you were to watch it, you would have seen the Men in Black cartoon.
Yeah.
You missed that one.
I no, I've seen it.
You seen it? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It was just I guess it was like sometime where they were like showing reruns.
yeah.
I'll jump to the other station and watch some of
Yeah,
them.
so you probably watched the reruns for it because they only showed the Godzilla one after they showed the movie when it came out. Because I remember when it came out, but I never watched it in the theater. Just so you know, I didn't watch until Little and Stitch. All right. So, but I remember the commercials of Godzilla, and so when that movie came out, the cartoon came out, and the cartoon was awesome. I thought this is the movie, right? This is the movie. And so when I finally bought the movie lamp, I was so disappointed.
Oh no.
Cause I was like the cartoon. I thought the cartoon was based off the movie.
I'm so sorry for you, man.
Oh, the cartoon was awesome, man.
I wish I would have been able to see the cartoon. I didn't even know it existed. That's crazy. But I did love, like, when I was a kid, when I was young, I really did love that movie to death. Because it was, like, my first introduction to, like, a giant monster. Really, like, doing some mad, crazy damage, to, like, a city. Like, a really, live action, too.
This is, and you didn't watch Power Rangers.
I did watch Power Rangers, but, like, I think, I think it was before Power Rangers. I think it was before Power, because I didn't get into Power Rangers until, well, I can't even say. The
But
timing is kind of mixed,
you
but I
probably
did,
you watched it, but
I
it
watched
probably
it,
didn't
spark that interest in me.
spark that interest, or you didn't watch the scene that you know, like Godzilla destroying the, or you probably
No, I
didn't.
did. No, I watched that movie like so many times. I remember, even to this day, I remember the movie from beginning to end. I just don't know if, I just didn't know if it was Godzilla being just being that menacing is what made me like love giant monsters. Because I didn't I loved the idea of Power Rangers, but like I already knew
It
that.
was like superheroes.
Yeah, it was superhero stuff. So it felt to me more like a live action cartoon than it did what Godzilla felt.
Yeah.
Like it was like if this
A
was
monster movie.
a monster movie with like a potential reality or something
Yeah.
like that. So that Godzilla got me into like just like giant stuff in general. But because I saw it during the time the Japanese Godzilla was like done. It was like
At that time, yeah,
yeah,
it
it
was
was just done. So it was like there was no Godzilla until like 2016.
Yeah.
So it was that Godzilla was the only Godzilla to me, and then it was until later where I just saw it out of the blue, like
the new one, right?
not the new one, the recent one, the I forgot what era it was, but like the latest era, the one with Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Oh, the 2000. Yeah,
2000
that era was the era where they were ending,
yeah,
but they wanted to put some more stuff
yeah,
before Toho didn't want to make any more.
yeah. So that was when I saw those Godzillas. That was like, that's Godzilla.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is it? Cause like it's like
Yeah.
he's fighting like all these other monsters.
Fine. Awesome
Who
beast.
has
Yes.
monsters like Destroyer was still like yo,
Destroyer was
he is,
awesome.
and it sucked because I only saw it once because like when you flip through channels and you see and you're like in this like half part of the movie and you're like what the fuck is this? I want to see it again, but it never really showed again afterwards.
Yeah.
So I only got a chance to like see it the one time or the one like that one, and it was.
And you have the Blu-ray now.
You have it right now.
I still have
You
it.
still have it.
Oh,
I was gonna
I
ask,
to
can I
find it.
borrow it?
Yeah, it's like don't we buy it?
Yeah, I want to ask if I could borrow it,
Yeah.
but
See, I can find it.
that was like sort of like my monster movie introduction.
Yeah.
And then I sort of just like kind of like after I did my research all that, I just kind of disregarded that to the Godzilla because like man, I'm gonna watch all these other better Godzillas, and then it sort of went dormant until I saw Evangelion again, and Evangelion sort of like revived me to like just not just giant monsters, but also give me in love with giant robots. And then from there, Transformers came, like the live action one, and then that's when I got into like just giants in general, and then it just sort of held on until I started watching until Godzilla 2016 came through.
Yeah.
And that's when everything just started like sparking out. Now I'm like want to go see Ultraman. Now I want to see Gamera. I want to see some old. I actually really want to see. I want to finish Tetsugen. That's what I want to do. I want to see the complete of Giant Robo now.
Yeah.
I just want to go back because like they inspired Power Rangers and some of the
Well,
other
vice
ones.
versa,
Vice versa. Was it vice versa?
Yeah,
And
it was
Silent Strategy?
Godzilla. It was Godzilla. It was.
Well, they
It was.
inspired each
It
other
was
at some point, and
Ultraman.
I just want to respect. I want to respect those that I want to respect those that inspired me.
Yeah.
You know, so if those things that inspired what I like, I want to see it for myself.
Of course.
So it's just like following the sort of like the bloodline of the creator and their inspiration. That's why I'm sort of like going back to like all this stuff now.
Yeah, and that's pretty much my journey now is like going back to
Watching
things that I missed and just getting that information for myself and then sharing it.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we both turn out to be like swell guys. So
Turn out to be slow guys.
like I mean, granted, obviously we had people around us that helped shape us too, but when it comes to like our medium, like those things really did make an impact on our lives.
And then it really was the factor for us to go to
Yeah.
to go to animation school to become artists.
Yep.
You know.
So I could safely say if it wasn't for Pokemon, I would have met these motherfuckers that I met at school. So I owe it to Pokemon. They sort of ruined my life, but hey, I guess I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
I there's obviously there's gonna be more of these conversations.
Oh yeah, I would love to hear anything else.
More stories I didn't tell because I wanted to go through the origin stories for my love for cartoons, right? You know, there's tiny little details I left out because I want to hear yours. I kind of knew it was gonna be Pokemon
It
all through.
more or less,
More,
yeah.
so so eventually when we get our other friends.
Oh yeah. I know Jacob wants to like say his piece too, so.
I don't know for sure.
And then
For sure, I want to hear Jacob's origin story and everybody else's as well. Yeah. So yeah, the cartoons that shaped us.
yes sir.
Yeah. It it could be anything from whether it inspired you to do art, whether it's made you want to view the techniques of people or the history of it as well. It's just for us, for most people, movies have shaped them and
Yeah.
history books and all that stuff. But for us who are, just came from cartoons and animation, animation in general as a whole, those things are what shaped us and what made us and encouraged us to do what we wanted to do. Even though we haven't done it yet, we haven't achieved it yet because it's hard. It's really hard nowadays, but that love is still there and will never go away.
No, not even close.
Never.
It's never.
I'm gonna be, in my 90s in the retirement home watching freaking Primal.
I mean, like even though like yeah, it's hard for us to do like what we want to do, but don't like I know for a fact that it's not gonna be the end of it. I'll tell you that right now. Like like everything that Pokemon just helped me. Like I've made so many stories in my youth that none of them I've never seen the light of day. One of them is going to see the light of day. That is before my life ends. I promise myself one of these are gonna see the light of day, and somebody is gonna watch it, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on TV. I don't know, I don't care, but that shit is going to be seen. I'm going to follow in the steps of one. Oh, I don't say. I'm gonna follow the steps of Pokemon and what it led me to, and I'm going to see it through. And that's legit my only goal in life. My legit goal in life, period, is to do what Pokemon did to me,
Yeah.
and just not even just like inspire, but just like entertain someone, tell a story with a beginning, middle, and end, and just have them watch it.
And that's like the greatest philosophy for a lot of animators and people who are aspired to do art and things like that. It's like they all have an angle they want to go, and how they want to pursue this. For you, you want to tell a narrative, entertaining story. You want to entertain people. For me, I just want to make.
You just want to
I
oh
realized,
shit.
I realized, because I thought like you when I was a teenager. It's funny because the way you were inspired, that's how I was inspired when I was a teenager. When you finally got the internet,
Yeah.
right? But now that I'm older, and now I'm reminding and thinking of all the things that I've watched over the years, which is a lot.
You've seen a shit ton.
I watched a shit ton of stuff. Don't worry, you're next. You'll be watching crap like me. Uh, yeah, I just want to make. I just want to make that stuff. I think that's just the simple thing. Is I don't care if this, because I realized because when we went to the school, when animation two, so this is a story when we were at school, animation school, animation two. That was the first time where we were able to make a narrative story in our an animation narrative story. So I was kicked out from that class the first time because something happened and my attendance didn't go through. Even I was showing up to class, but for whatever reason, our teacher, well, I will not name, she marked me absent, and they're like, "Oh, they gotta drop your class, but you were kind of failing. Do you want to continue?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll take it next time. Okay, fine. You won. I don't know who won. Thank you, teacher, for like, oh, I don't want another kid to fail. He could drop it. So I was like, all right, I'll drop it, whatever. But the thing is that my first story for it was very serious. It was very interpersonal, interperspective. It's funny because I love animation when they talk about interperspective. Like Ghost in the Shell. Even though Ghost in the Shell sometimes it's too you know indulgent of itself when it talks about what is human, what is not human, and things like that. I love that stuff. I know people will be like, "Oh, well, here we go again talking about I'm human, I'm not," all that stuff. But those type of stories is something like I really gravitate, and so whenever I write a story, I want to write some deep shit,
Yeah.
you know. But the problem is that it's just hard. It's just plain and simple. It's just hard because it's something that it's only gravitate towards yourself, but doesn't gravitate for others, right? So I wrote that story, and everybody kind of liked it, but it was kind of like, yeah, but it's kind of like you're sad, you know. So the next time, so I dropped it. So when the next time I got that class, right, I wrote a funny story. I wrote a story,
Oh.
an infamous story about a kid failing, and the only way to pass is like he could seduce his teacher into sleeping with him
And all to the music of who?
to R. Kelly. All to the music of R. Kelly. Uh, forgot the song. He says,
It was
when my mind's telling me no, but my heart. All to that song. Listen, I passed that class. At the end of the day, I passed that class, and I was the funniest. My short was the funniest one out of everybody out there. So, you know, what I realized, stop taking things too serious. Just make something. You know,
Yeah.
stop being
Good.
too serious about the craft and just make something funny or something that is just you know engaging. You know, but don't be too serious about it because that's how I fucked up the first time. So yeah,
Yeah, lessons learned, man. That's how we grow.
lessons learned. That was funny. I need to dig it up so I could show you.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do that.
So yeah, this was the cartoons that shaped us.
The
Uh,
first version.
yeah, part one, part the,
Part, part two.
part the. Yeah, part one. It's gonna be just you know, a series of talking points of how what inspired us.
Yeah.
Moving forward, for us, it's more of the story, more of what we see. Even now, there's newer cartoons out there.
Yep.
Especially now, like as recording right now, what came out was Unicorn. Warriors Eternal. It's created by the same creator as Primal, which is Vinny Tarkovsky, who did Dexter Laboratory and
Yep.
Hotel Transylvania.
I did not know about that.
And so, that's a cartoon that it's you know that cartoon and his other cartoons are are in this his own little renaissance.
Yep.
And so those are highly inspiring. So, there's
Someone's about to be
always
inspired by that too.
yes, and somebody and some young kid and some young animator out there is also getting inspired by that stuff. And so these are the stories that we have and we're gonna share and we're gonna have hopefully we get more people here to share on these things too.
Life is rough.
Because everybody start from somewhere,
Yep.
especially when it comes to loving these silly cartoons. You watching these Chinese cartoons? Are you watching these old cartoons that your mom used to watch?
The answer
Excuse
to all
me.
the answer to all that is
Yes.
yes, bitch.
Yes, bitch. The answer is yes, bitch.
Yes, bitch. I'm watching this.
I'm watching this cartoon, alright? Give me a break. Okay. I'm also an artist.
I'm also an artist.
And thank you for listening to another Six Frame Podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, email us at sixframepodcast@gmail.com. That is sixframepodcast@gmail.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Six Frames. Don't forget to rate and follow us on our Apple Podcasts and Podbean. And our YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to Six Frames and ring that bell for notifications so you never miss another episode. So what are you waiting for, nerd? Subscribe, like, rate, do all that stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!